Happy Friday, crypto fam. What it do? Hope you're excited for this weekend. Hopefully we see a nice pump. In today's show, we'll be discussing the Bitcoin price hitting 28,500 on PCA data as macro accumulation zone ends. Also breaking news just in, Germany's second largest stock exchange approved to offer Bitcoin and crypto custody. And the biggest news, El Salvador's president Nayib Bukele officially eliminates all income, property, and capital gains taxes on technology innovations. Let's go. And Max Kaiser's response, statecraft reinvented, result a sovereign masterpiece. Also in today's show, Russia talks up prospects of BRICS countries developing a new currency. Also more breaking news, China makes advances in ditching the US dollar for settlements and even inks a deal with Brazil and completes the first UN LNG purchase. LNG standing for liquefied natural gas. Also in today's show, Elon Musk-led petition to halt AI development divides the tech community. Also breaking news, FTX founder Scam Bankman-Fried pleads not guilty to new charges, including bribery of Chinese officials. I'll be breaking down this latest report, as well as more breaking news. U.S. government plans to sell 41,000 Bitcoin connected to Silk Road. In fact, on March 14th of this year, the government sold almost 9,000 Bitcoin for $215 million, according to court documents filed on March 31st. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. And welcome everyone just tuning in. This is podcast episode number 1200 and holy moly, 37 of the Crypto News Alerts pod. Today is March 31st, 2023, the final day of the month. Hopefully we have a very strong monthly close. I'm your host, JV. Let's dive into today's market watch. As you can see on the screen, the major cryptos are back in the green. Definitely a good omen. Bitcoin up almost 1% for the day, hovering above 28,400. We have Ether at 1%, trading back above 1,800. Cardano, one of the top gainers, up almost 7%, trading back above 40 cents. And the only top crypto in the red for the day is BNB, Binance Coin. And checking out coinmarketcap.com, the crypto market cap sitting at $1.185 trillion with $42 billion in volume in the past 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance at 46.3%, with the Ether dominance at 18.5%. And checking out the top 100 crypto gainers in the past 24 hours, Hedera, HBAR up 12.5%, trading at 7.3 cents, followed by Lido DAO up 8%, trading at $2.47, followed by Cardano up almost 7%, trading just above 40 cents. And checking out the top 100 crypto gainers for the past week, finally a sea of green. Some of the top gainers include Lido DAO up 8.5%, HBAR up 13%, and Cardano up 7%. And checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, we're currently rated a 63. Greed yesterday was a 60, last week a 61, and last month was neutral, rated a 50. So there you have it. How many of you are currently bullish on the King Crypto? Let me know in the comments right down below. And at the end of the show, we'll be doing a live Q&A, which I always look forward to. Now let's dive into today's charts and check out the latest technical analysis, shall we? Bitcoin recovered recent losses today on the Wall Street Open as traders look for a strong monthly close. And right here, looking at the Bitcoin 1 hour candle chart. Data from Cointelegraph Market Support and Trading View showed Bitcoin heading to 28.5 on Bitstamp after the opening bell, up 1,000 from the day's low. The fresh gains followed encouraging macroeconomic data from the United States, with the February personal consumption expenditures, the PCE index, modestly beating expectations in some areas. We are making progress in the fight against inflation, shares the White House. Now today's report shows annual inflation down by nearly 30% from this summer against a backdrop of low unemployment and steady growth. But just also keep in mind, they are known for fudging the numbers. But quoting Charlie Biello, more evidence of a decline in the U.S. inflation rate. The PCE price index moved down 5%, its lowest level since September of 2021. The peak was 7% back in June of 2022. So with inflation sticky, yet seemingly not troubling the markets, these appear to increase the bets on the Fed interest rate hikes, pausing in May. Data from CME Group's FedWatch tool showed risk assets thus traded higher in anticipation, with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ were both up around 0.5% higher at this time. Now also, the mood around Bitcoin was equally buoyant, countering reservations among some traders who had warned of a significant retracement at or near the monthly close, which Calio called out here, and boom, that is how it's done. Bounced right off at 27.5. Now time to slowly grind back towards the highs, reclaim 29,000, and indicate acceleration for a full send. Let's go. And to the upside, data from monitoring resource material indicators showed the bulk of asked liquidity stacked at 29,000 prior to the PCE release. And popular crypto trader Crypto Tony entertained the idea of Bitcoin hitting 30,000 for the short term, with the price having held a key support level at 27.7. And analytics account Skoo argued that spot buying pressure needed to hold to preserve the current levels of above $28,000. And quoting Caleb Franzen, the senior market analyst of Cube Analytics, Bitcoin's 24-month Williams percentage R oscillator is set to close above the oversold threshold for March, which has marked an end to the prior bear markets. Bullish long-term probabilities are improving, so as long as we stay above the lower bound. Now, Franzen had previously covered the evolving status quo for the Bitcoin Williams percentage R oscillator across various time frames as the 2023 uptrend began, which you can see outlined in this chart. So there you have it. And big news, Germany's second largest stock exchange approved to offer Bitcoin and crypto custody as the mass adoption continues. And the biggest news, the bill has been drafted by Nayib Bukele, who shared it right here in this tweet. It's officially done, ultimately meaning that they will eliminate, or as of now, all income, property, and capital gains taxes on technology innovations. What is this going to do? It's going to make El Salvador the boom for technology as innovation is going to leave the United States, right? And here's what Max had to share. Statecraft reinvented the result, a sovereign masterpiece. And he also shares, apply the standards versus innovation debate to statecraft. And President Bukele in El Salvador, he's reinventing statecraft by allowing the perfect incentive model of Bitcoin to influence his thinking. He's creating a sovereign masterpiece in El Salvador. So massive shout out to El Salvador and Nayib Bukele. Very exciting times. Yeah. And yeah, got to represent with the hat. So let's go Bukele 2024. And I hope other countries are to follow suit and adopt Bitcoin and make it a legal tender. That will be the game changer. And I know that will help usher in the mass adoption, which we're all awaiting on. Now for some breaking news with what's happening with BRICS. They could be creating their own currency. That's what rumor has it. So let's now break down our next story of the day. A new world order, I know you've heard that term before, could be emerging. No, it is emerging as economic powerhouses increase their efforts to distance themselves from the US dollar, as they should. According to reports, a top Russian official claimed that the BRICS alliance is working on creating its own currency. Go figure. BRICS is an acronym for 5 leading emerging economies, which include Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The State Duma Deputy Chairman Alexander Babakov made the comments at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum event in New Delhi, India, according to local reports. He said, reportedly stressed the importance of both nations working towards a new medium for payments, adding that digital payments could be the most promising and viable. He also said the currency could benefit China and other BRICS members and not the West. Quoting him here, in composition, it should be based on inducting new monetary ties established on a strategy that does not defend the US's dollar or euro, but rather forms a new currency competent of benefiting our shared objective. Now, Babakov also reportedly postulated that the new currency would be secured by gold and other commodities such as rare earth elements. And this week, former Goldman Sachs chief economist Jim O'Neill called the BRICS bloc to expand and challenge the dominance of the dollar. And in the paper published by the Global Policy Journal, he wrote that the US dollar plays a far too dominant role in global finance. Now, a BRICS currency is not a new concept. Back in 2019, as reported, members of the bloc were discussing the creation of a new digital currency for a unified payment system. And in a related development this week, China and Brazil reached a deal to trade with their own currencies. The move will remove the US dollar as the intermediary, further empowering both nations to distance themselves from the world's reserve currency. Can you say the death of the dollar? And according to reports, the agreement will enable China and the biggest economy in Latin America, which is Brazil, to conduct trade financial transactions directly. Now, the Chinese yuan will be exchanged directly for the Brazilian real and vice versa instead of going through the greenback, so they're ultimately excluding the dollar. China is racing ahead with its central bank digital currency project, and crypto adoption in Brazil is growing following the legalization of it as a payment method in the country late last year. Meanwhile, Uncle Sam remains determined to continue its war on crypto as financial regulators tighten the screws of the embryonic industry. So there you have it. Very interesting to say the least. I mean, BRICS dropping the dollar and ultimately creating their own digital currency. What do you think it's likely to be? Do you think this can potentially be XRP, or do you think it's going to be created from scratch? They already said it's going to be backed by rare earth elements. Gold? What other elements should a currency be backed by? I mean, just ignore the perfect money of Bitcoin and create your own thing. But hey, what do you expect from central bankers at the end of the day? You know what I mean? They want to be able to control that digital currency the same way they're able to control fiat crap by adding a bunch of zeros at the end and keep printing more and more, which only makes Bitcoin, the only truly decentralized crypto, that much more valuable. You feel me? And with that being shared, now for our next breaking story of the day. This is pretty big as well. China makes advances in ditching the US dollar for settlements and inks a deal with Brazil, completing the first yuan LNG purchase. That's right. China is positioning its fiat currency, the yuan, as the US dollar alternative for international settlements. The Chinese government recently achieved 2 milestones in this sense, inking a bilateral deal with Brazil that would allow the two countries to settle payments with their national currencies and completing the first liquefied natural gas import trade settled in yuan. Now, the Brazil-China deal also allows the two countries to exchange goods using the Chinese yuan and the Brazilian real. The expectation is that this deal will ease the transactions between the two countries, reducing costs and promoting even greater bilateral trade and facilitating investment, according to the Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency. Now, China and Brazil's bilateral trade numbers reached the 150 billion mark last year, with China being Brazil's biggest partner. So in this case of the LNG import, the negotiation was managed between China's National Offshore Oil Corporation and France's Total Energy, involving the purchase of 65,000 tons of the commodity. The transaction was made on the Shanghai Petroleum and Natural Gas Exchange, which served to sell the LNG of Arabian origin. The Chinese oil company commented in its commitment of innovation when it comes to pricing the settlements, and the CNOOC Deputy General Manager Eugene stated the following: the promotion of international resource procurement based on UN settlement can promote the globalization of energy trading and build a more diversified ecology. Now, with the Chinese government, which has recently made significant advancements in promoting the yuan as the dollar replacement for some settlements, with Russia committed to make use of the currency to settle payments with emerging economies and other countries, analysts believe its fully adoption requires the implementation of a new series of policies. Professor Zhu, an expert in U.S.-China trade conflicts, proposed a progressive tax on the cross-border capital flows to guard the country against external risks. And on this, he explained, such a policy design would be like installing a firewall and thus solving the dilemma of capital account liberalization and yuan convertibility. And while the Chinese yuan usage for global payments is still relatively low, with only 2.19% of the total global payments settled in the currency, he believes that the introduction of the digital yuan, central bank digital currency, better known as CBDC, could give it an edge compared to other currencies. Quoting him again, if China can innovate the entire system through digital currency and establish a digital international currency system, it may have the opportunity to strengthen the yuan's overseas use. So there you have it. All I know is this: digital fiat CBDCs, it's all Satan's work at the end of the day to enslave humanity. The only true currency that is going to save you and is the antidote to CBDCs, Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Let me know if you can relate. And now let's discuss our next story of the day with the Elon-led AI halt. And then we'll be discussing Sam Bankman-Fried pleading not guilty to all the charges, including the new ones. And then we'll be discussing our main story of the day, and that's the government dumping mass amounts of Bitcoin, like over $1 billion worth, over 40,000 Bitcoin. But let's start with this Elon AI story. And yes, he is smoking a joint in this photo, just FYI. Now, Tesla CEO Elon and Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak were signatories on an open letter signed by more than 2,600 tech industry leaders and researchers. The open letter called for a temporary halt on any further AI development. The petition shared concerns that AI, with human competitive intelligence, can pose serious hazards to society and mankind. It urged all AI firms to immediately cease developing AI systems that are more potent than generative pre-trained Transformer 4, which is GPT-4, for at least 6 months. Now, GPT-4 is a multimodal large language model created by OpenAI and the fourth of its GPT series. And yesterday, I actually shared the OpenAI predictions for Bitcoin from 2024 to 2030. If you missed it, be sure to check it out. Now, the petition, although supported by many, has divided the larger tech community over the halt of developments. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong was among many notable names that voiced their opposition to the petition. Armstrong, in a tweet, said that committees and bureaucracy won't solve anything. He added that there is no designated experts to decide on this issue, and not everyone in the tech industry agrees with the petition. Armstrong reminded that any new technology poses poses a certain amount of dangers, but the goal should be to keep moving forward. He added that centralization in the decision-making will bring no good. Quoting him here, don't ever fear, stop progress, and be wary of anyone trying to capture control in some central authority, he tweeted. Now, Brian's Merchant, a columnist at LA Times, called the petition led by Musk an apocalyptic AI hype carnival. He added that a lot of the state concerned are robot jobs, apocalyptic stuff. And then we have Vic Sethi, former Web3 executive at MasterCard, called the petition a non-proliferation treaty, but for AI. He added that many of the popular signers on the list have a deeply personal vested interest in AI and are just likely trying to slow down their counterparts so they can get ahead. Now, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, because at the end of the day, I don't really trust Elon Musk. Obviously, he is working on AI components. He is working on many things. And yeah, he's also working on to connect our brains with AI so he can merge humans with AI. So maybe he is doing this petition to try to halt the competition so he can get ahead. But what are your honest thoughts? Let me know in the comments right down below. And now let's break down our next story of the day with the latest with Scam Bankman-Fried, pleading not guilty to a new set of charges as the former crypto tycoon faces the possibility of spending decades in jail. Now, that's a wager. How many years do you think he is likely to spend in prison? Let's wager. Federal prosecutors alleged in a new indictment unsealed on Tuesday that the founder of the bankrupt crypto exchange FTX paid out $40 million in crypto to induce Chinese government officials to unfreeze the trading accounts of Alameda Research. That's right. You can't make this level of fraud up, folks. The accounts, which contain more than $1 billion in crypto assets, were frozen in early 2021 as China investigated an Alameda counterparty. Reuters reported that Bankman-Fried pleaded not guilty to the bribery charge at a hearing before District Judge Lewis Kaplan in Manhattan Federal Court on Thursday, which was yesterday. The 31-year-old also entered a not guilty plea for charges accusing him of violating campaign finance laws. And in February, prosecutors hit Bankman-Fried with additional charges, alleging he conspired to make illegal political donations so legislators will pass laws that are favorable to his company. That's right, with all the mass amounts of money donated to the Democratic Party. Bankman-Fried's lawyer, Mark Cohen, says he plans to contest the campaign finance and China-related charges by the May 8th deadline because they were filed after his client was extradited from the Bahamas. The extradition treaty provides that Bankman-Fried may only be tried and punished for the cases that he faced at the time of the extradition unless the Bahamian government allows the new charges. Very interesting. I'll be keeping you up to date with the latest as this unfolds. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for, let's break down our final breaking story of the day, and that's the U.S. government planning to sell 41,000 Bitcoin connected to the infamous Silk Road. That's right, while the United States government continues to sell Bitcoin, guess who's buying it? El Salvador. United States government plans to liquidate more than 41,000 Bitcoin seized as part of the case connected to Silk Road crater. Ross Ulbricht, March 31st was a filing, that's today, with the U.S. District Court of the Southern District in New York regarding the sentences of James Zhong. Stated U.S. government authorities had been liquidating roughly 51,352 Bitcoin seized in the Ulbricht case. And according to the filing, officials sold roughly 9,861 Bitcoin worth more than $215 million on March 14th, leaving roughly 41,491 Bitcoin left. Quoting them here, the government understands that the seized Bitcoin is expected to be liquidated in 4 more batches over the course of this calendar year, said the court filing. So there you have it. Make a note of that. It won't all be dumped at one time, but 4 specific different dates. The government understands from IRS Criminal Investigation, Asset Recovery, and Investigative Services that the second round of liquidation will not be sold prior to Zhong's sentencing date. In November, Zhong pled guilty to wire fraud charges related to executing a scheme to steal Bitcoin from Silk Road back in 2012. U.S. authorities seized more than 50,000 BTC, worth more than $3 billion at that time, from his Georgia home in November of 2021. It was one of the largest crypto seizures by the government until the February 2022 recovery of roughly $3.6 billion connected to the 2016 Bitfinex hack. Now, the Silk Road marketplace, which has been defunct for 10 years, originally allowed users to buy and sell illicit goods, including weapons and stolen credit card info. However, the marketplace also drew the attention of U.S. authorities who arrested Ulbricht in 2013. He is currently serving 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. As Ross shared right here, I was arrested at the age of 29 and today I turned 39. I've lost my 30s to prison. During that time, I've done my best to learn from my mistakes, better myself, and help others do the same. I hope someday I can make amends as a free man as well. I say free Ross Ulbricht and let's lock up Bankman-Fried. What do you think about that? The price of Bitcoin has had a volatile month, dipping below 20 on March 10th and moving above 29,000, reaching a new yearly high on March 29th, just 2 days ago. And as you can currently see on your screen, the Bitcoin price is roughly trading at 28,400 at the time of this recording. And now for some breaking news in response to this story. Tron founder Justin Sun offers to buy all 41,500 Bitcoin from the U.S. government at a 10% discount. Let me know if you feel this is likely to take place, and how many of you, if you had $1 billion sitting around to scoop up an extra 40,000 plus BTC, would like to take that offer as well. I know I sure as hell would. 10% discount. Sign me up. I am all in. And with that being shared, now let's dive into the live Q&A. I appreciate each and every one of you, of course, for tuning in and for participating in a Friday evening show at a special time slot. SpongeBob SquarePants, always a pleasure, family. Chris Minka, good to see you. LNP, welcome. Quan Long, we got Digital in the building. Digital Maniac, where's Digital Dankness? We got a few digitals. Barry, welcome, family. And I'm going to scroll to the top. We got Frankie V, always a pleasure, fam. Matthew J says they making Bitcoiners want to move to El Salvador, the savior. That's right. For those that didn't know, El Salvador translates to the savior. And that's what it seems to be at this moment. The savior for humanity, the ark, as Max and Stacy would say, the new ark, right? I want to move to El Salvador, says SpongeBob. Who wouldn't? As the United States government says everything by dumping all this Bitcoin, who do you think is going to be buying it up? I'd much rather be a part of a country who's purchasing and buying Bitcoin because they understand it and where it's a legal tender. No brainer, if you're to ask me. I'm pumped, says Matthew. U.S. dumped 300 million in Bitcoin and we're back above where they sold 2 days later. Amen to that, and cheers to the entire crypto fam. What up? Good to see you as well, Chris Minka. 100% Matt, let the USDA dump all that they want. Going wine tasting with the wife. That's what's up, Jeff. Enjoy yourself with your fam and enjoy that vino. No doubt, fam, we in a peaceful revolution together. The separation of money and state. We in the fight, stacking them stats. Preach, Matthew, and much love. I agree 100%. Chris says, remember, Luna dumped 80,000 Bitcoin, which triggered 100,000 weak hands to sell. The U.S. government is shooting itself in the foot. 100%. Matthew says 80,000 sold, got us to 15.5 bottom. This time we won't even break below 20,000. Let me know if you guys agree with Matthew that the anything sub 20,000 we're never going to see again. I'd love to know your thoughts. We're working our way back up that hill. Facts. Chris says, I agree. They need to dump all 200,000 they hold to dump price just for a few months. It does seem to be that way. They can't suppress it. They can try all they want, though. The USG holds 200,000 Bitcoin, I guess referring to the United States government. That is a good estimate. I don't know the exact number, but I confirmed in today's story, just from Silk Road confiscation alone, that's over 40,000 BTC, which they have left. You know what I mean? They trying to shake the people out hard. It does seem to be this way, fam. They ain't never want against a hodler like a Bitcoin hodler because the Bitcoin hodler don't stop. Preach. We can't stop. We won't stop. We're going to hodl all the way to the top. Tell them. Sat-wise, I love the irony that Bitcoin is the only hope to save the U.S. Treasury. Go ahead, dump, and make it even more decentralized as the masses gobble it up. Well said, Sat-wise Jenks. It does seem to be that way. Yellen, talking about Janet Yellen takes the cake for stupid, selling all commodities to milk out the fiat a bit longer. That's right, and she's just a puppet taking orders. You know, what else do you expect from her? Doesn't seem to be so bright at the end of the day. Just a puppet. Love them laser eyes. That's what's up. You already know, so bullish for the next 12 to 18 months, says Digital Maniac. Me too. How bullish are you? How far do you think the Bitcoin price is likely to climb in those next 18 months, considering that the halving is next year, about approximately 1 year away, fam? It's going to get very exciting. Digital Maniac says the halving, next election cycle, the banks are going under, the de-dollarization, and oil sold in the UN. Exactly. Everything is in flux. Bitcoin is the answer. It's the lifeboat. Agreed 100%. Maybe 23 or 24 months even, says Matthew. I don't know what you said, Sponge, but I got a feeling I like it. Digital Maniac, we've been seeing halvings price in before the halving, and then yes, pump after the halving, so all looks good starting right now. I mean, couldn't be a better time to be stacking sats, in my humble opinion as well. If you see someone reading Spanish for Dummies, it's me, says Matthew. Hey, don't feel bad. I've been living in Spanish-speaking countries for many years of my life. I am still learning, and I am a slow learner, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? Digital Bitcoin is that high yield saving account. I mean, there's no comparison. Only keep in the banks at the end of the day what you can afford to lose, and never trust a bank. Never trust a banker. And let's just leave it at that. Why do we trust Bitcoin? Because we trust in mathematics. You know what I mean? People are corrupted, too easily corruptible. Bitcoin is incorruptible. That's why it's perfect money and nothing else can compare. How much tax did the U.S. government pay? Does the U.S. government even pay tax, SpongeBob? Interesting, right? And I posted something on Twitter the other day, and it says, why do we accept credit scores from someone that is over $30 trillion in debt? They tell us what our credit score is. They can't even manage their own finances. The whole system is a joke, fam. Welcome, crypto fam. Nice to hear ya. JV, Frankie V in the building. Love you, bro. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Much love. Crypto Bad Fox, welcome. Says all the love. Thanks for the amazing updates. Watching daily. Let's go. Let's get it. Crypto going to the moon. I careful. Only a couple of handfuls. Choose wisely. That's right. Good reminder, as most altcoins are trash. And it's like a casino at the end of the day. It's like pulling that slot machine lever down, hoping to get lucky. So just be careful and only invest what you can afford to lose. Just like putting something in a bank. Only put in the bank what you can afford to lose. You know what I mean? And don't forget to self-custody your Bitcoin, because if you keep it on a centralized exchange, if something happens to that exchange, including government attacks, which we've been seeing left and right, bank runs, etc., your crypto can disappear and never be returned ever again. So for safety reasons, I do encourage everyone to learn about self-custody, and to self-custody your crypto is the way to go. And I mean, Bitcoin was designed to not have a central bank or a central third party custody your private keys. You can do that yourself. All it takes is a little knowledge. They say in 10,000 hours of something, any topic, you become a master. And I truly believe that. So watch this show 10,000 times and you'll probably be an expert as well. You know what I mean? Smart digital vape pen, 90% tech oil. It's a banking. What? Frankie V is vaping out there? Word up. I'm about 96% BTC, have some staked ETH. I can't get to. Oh, nice. I love tech and have smart contract alts, but the small percentage compared to the King crypto. That's what's up. I don't think they're selling onto the open market. They're just auctioning, says Mr. T, referring to the U.S. government seized Bitcoin stash. Be careful, Frank. The options and stocks are denominated and settled in a fiat, going quickly to zero, or as they say in Spanish, cero. Shout out to you, Matthew. Still good to diversify to an extent. Invest in stocks, real estate, and retirement funds, as well as crypto, as long as Bitcoin has the biggest piece of the pie, says Digital Maniac. Countries don't want weapons, aka dollars, from the U.S. Absolutely. Why would they? It's crashing. No countries want to worry about sanctions. Facts. The U.S. is making some unforced errors, causing the de-dollarization movement, all by design. Obviously, no one is using XRP. Show me their address on the blockchain, says Chris Minka. Frankie says, wonder why the SEC is going after XRP and its remaining escrow, $50 billion. Imagine that, JV. Maniac says, I'm really surprised many large governments aren't aping into Bitcoin with all that's going on. That's because under their skin, they hate Bitcoin. Let's just keep it real. It puts the central bankers out of business. So the government has the same stance as Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, who referred to Bitcoin as rat poison squared. Why? Because it puts an end to their monopoly. It just is what it is. So I wouldn't expect the Rothschilds or Rockefellers or powers that be to think any differently regarding Bitcoin. They look at it as a technology that's threatening their central banking system. You know what I mean? And shout out to Nipsey. What's up, Nipsey? Mascot Nipsey in the building. We all have the path that is best for ourselves. I wish everyone the best. Just warning that investing in settled dollars may have an increased risk as U.S. dollar loses reserve currency status. Appreciate the warning, Matthew. Right on. Once again, all members in the chat and Crypto News Alerts community, we all winners. Facts. Agree 100%, Frankie V. Appreciate that. Glad Bitcoin is going higher. 100%. Keep pumping. Let's get to 29,000. How cool was it just a couple of days ago for us to hit above 29? I think we hit 29.2 before we consolidated. So we're probably going to retest that 29 resistance. I feel once we break above 30 cleanly and flip that resistance into a support, game on, fam. It's going to be interesting to see where the Bitcoin price action ends up later this year. Let me know what you guys think. and it doesn't, I'll just up my weekly dollar cost average amount. That's the attitude, digital maniac. Dutch boy loves the show. Well, I appreciate you tuning in, Dutch boy. Barry, appreciate you, bro. The lower it goes, the more I can get my hands on. Well, that is true. SpongeBob says, why is this news about Bankman-Fried pleading not guilty? Everyone should plead not guilty, even if you're caught with the gun in your hand. Yeah, obviously he was caught red-handed, so it is like all a joke, but that's our justice system. You know what I mean? Everyone's innocent, assumed innocent, allegedly, until proven guilty. But guess what? The news that made my day today, they just released Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan. They're out of jail, and they're at their house on house arrest. So they were able to leave the prison they were unlawfully detained in for 4 months with no criminal charges. They held them for 4 months in a Romanian prison cell. How messed up is that? So it made my heart feel so joyful to hear this news that they were finally released. You know what I mean? Because if they didn't break any of the laws and there are no crimes against them and there's no charges, why are you holding these guys? Because they're powerful, right? And they have major influence. So I cannot wait to get an update from Andrew himself now that he is out of that prison cell. And I pray for him and his family and for everyone who has been falsely arrested, because it's messed up, you know, at the end of the day, especially when women are making up charges, plotting against him, which they've already got caught red-handed with taps with their, you know, the wiretaps as well as their WhatsApp. They were saying, aren't you a good actor? Let's act. Let's pretend we're victims. You can be a good victim, right? Messed up ish, but that's some of the ish, you know, people are willing to do to throw other people under the bus. So, you know, I'm just glad to hear that news today. SpongeBob says, why is the... Yeah, exactly. Sure, SBF and Gensler are holding hands. Exactly. They're lovers, more than likely. BetaBot, if they make Bitcoin illegal, why are they still holding it? It's a hedge. Frankie Bear, only problem with XRP is the World Economic Forum token controlled by the same oppressors as the US dollar. You got a good point there, Matthew. Yes, that's why they are selling it. They are hypocrites, says Ellen. Word. Watch China buying it all back. And if he doesn't get decades, I'll be super surprised. Probably U.S. government is trying to shake out any paper hands left before the numbers go up so they can get the bigger profits. That's right. And keep the people poor and suppressed. That's why they're called our oppressors, right? Steve says, agree, JV. Much love, Frank. Wish you the best, fans. Smash that like button. Appreciate that, Digital Maniac. Yes, Munger and Buffett, you'll ruin their taxpayer money grab. Two crooks. Preach. I agree 100%, Ellen. They sold our kids' future for some Diet Coke and fiat. Sad reality, right? Steve says, anti-Elizabeth Warren army. Let's rock it. Stack those Satoshis. Yes, and screw Elizabeth Warren. Arrest her along with Bankman-Fried, will you? The summer of 2021, there were 3 dips to the 28,000-30,000 area, proven to be the strong resistance until it is broken soon. We shall soon see, and I hope it does get broken very soon, sooner than later. Yes, could happen to any of us. Frankie V and Tristan, another Chop G, free congratulations, and the Tate fam, 100%. Chris, 100%. Ellen, I live my life free in my way. I'm a target at some point. Exactly. SpongeBob, we need those AI women now. No lies. Westworld does feel that way. That's great, Chris Minka. We need more women in crypto like Ellen. Preach. And where's Helen? Speaking of women, we do have a handful of women who tune into the show. But yeah, I would say approximately 95% of my audience on YouTube is men, believe it or not. You know what I mean? Waiting for the riots, investing in baseball bats, says Steve Kingston. I don't blame you, fam. With unfriendly regulations, I don't foresee an alt season like before. It'll be interesting. I think the Bitcoin dominance is going to eat at the alt dominance. And typically when that happens, a lot of people are consolidating back to Bitcoin so they don't miss out on that epic bull run, especially with the halving right around the corner. You know what I mean? We need some riots, says Ellen. Word up. Distributor ledger technology, DLT for what? What's everyone's favorite cold wallet? I like Cold Wallet's MK4. There's a lot of options nowadays out there. So you guys let me know what's your favorite hard wallet. The 2 that I recall that have been around for a very long time is the Trezor and the Ledger. Those are 2 companies that have been around for a very long time since I got into crypto. I got into crypto back in 2017. And yeah, there was a halving in 2016. Then remember in December of 2017, the year following the halving, the market went parabolic and it hit roughly $20,000. And lo and behold, it's like deja vu because now 6 years later, we're only trading at 28,000 and everyone just had an opportunity to buy Bitcoin cheaper than it was 6 years ago when we were just at 15,500. But the $1 million question, how many of you put your action where your words are and actually pulled the trigger and stacked some sats. I know many of you here, of course, but how many of you missed out and you didn't take advantage of it because you were anticipating Garrett Soloway's prediction to come true of an $8,000 Bitcoin price and you didn't want to buy at 15 because you were convinced that the bottom wasn't in? How many of you missed out on dollar cost averaging because you were so convinced that we are going to crash to 5,000, 3,000 as some people were calling for? I know a lot of people are on the sidelines. They missed out. And you missed this 70% plus pump thus far already this year, and we're only in March. So this is officially the end today of the first quarter of 2023, right? January, February, March. It's over. Let's see how this monthly close is. I hope it's going to be above 28. If we close above 29, that's a fantastic omen, and that just means more bullishness to come. So it'll be interesting to see where we close at. You know what I mean? The whole system is 100% a joke. If everyone understood deeply how money worked, everyone would riot. Facts. Like right now, we'd all be rioting. Trezor, Bitcoin only mode for Bitcoin. The Ledger is for alts. I feel the same way. Ledger is my favorite wallet for alts, and the Trezor is my favorite for a dedicated Bitcoin wallet, even though they can both hold different things. Like Trezor can hold alts and Ledger can hold Bitcoin, but that's just my personal preference. I feel the same way as you, Chris, so I appreciate you sharing. Ledger seems solid to me. I hope it stays that way, says Steve. Word up. And they have the Ledger Live, which is pretty cool. Heard some good things about the Cold Card. Cold Card is pretty cool too. Just I wouldn't say it's the most newbie friendly. If you have some experience with wallets already and you're not brand new to crypto, I can recommend the Cold Card because it is pretty cool. But it's definitely advanced. It's not as simple to use. No, Gareth is never right, says Ellen. I never really watched an episode or anything with him, but of course, when things were bearish, everyone said, you got to watch Gareth. You got to watch Soloway. And Soloway just kept calling for lower lows and lower lows. I never seen him call for anything higher before, ever. So it just made me think, maybe he's a perma bear. You never know. There's plenty of them out there. I learned Shiba Inu went all in. I need donations. Oh, I leveraged Shiba Inu and went all in. Frankie got jokes. Steve says 8 days. Top of the day has been 28.5 and 29.2. Buyers are there to break the resistance and will do so eventually. Word up. First large limit was 15.9. Trezor is open source like the King Crypto. That's what's up. Shout out to the Trezor. My next was 14,000 and never filled. Damn, you were close. I think 15.5 was the low. I have one dedicated for Bitcoin and one dedicated for the alts. Word up, digital maniac. That's how you get it done. Bitcoin will survive and thrive. The U.S. government is too irresponsible with money and cannot be trusted. Facts. Preach. Audit the government, audit the Fed, audit the SEC, audit Janet Yellen, audit Gary Gensler. I would love to see their crypto portfolios, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? I have some alts that I hope I can ride up. Word up, Ellen. I hope for your sake too. Digital maniac, whether or not these cold wallet companies go down is irrelevant. It's open source tech, so your crypto will be fine. Thanks for the reminder. Chris says 15,000 was never filled. That's right. We got close, but we didn't hit it. Ledger is not open source digital. Matthew says. Steve says Soloway is Tone Bays in 2023. That's hilarious. Shout out to Tone Bays. I like Tone. Chris Minka says Gareth is not a perma bear. Good to note. I wouldn't know. I thought Gareth was a plant to dissuade people buying Bitcoin. The few times I've just tuned in for like a few segments, it was just like Bitcoin is going. It looks like it's going up, but it's going to crash. Doomsday. So didn't resonate with me. But then again, I'm the opposite of a perma bear. I'm probably a perma bull. I'm always bullish. Even when we were hitting lows, I was bullish. But that's just my nature because I believe in the technology. I believe it's the most pristine form of money ever created, the most pristine form of collateral. I understand its limited supply. I feel like I understand Bitcoin too much to not be a perma bull. You feel me? It's just the nature of what it is. I understand what we have our hands on right now. How could you not be bullish? I don't look at the price. I don't care if the price was 20,000 or 15,000. I'm looking at the technology and what it offers for humanity. It's an escape valve. You know what I mean? You want to escape, slavery and enslavement of the matrix. Bitcoin. Boom. Solved. Problem solved. Tone said 1,000 in 2018. Never got there, did he? But didn't we hit like 3,000 after COVID in March of 2020? Wasn't that wild? How many of you took advantage of that dip? I know I sure did. Permable energy. You got it. I'm a permable for life. I don't care the US dollar value of a Bitcoin. Oh, Ish Live. Are you bullish on Pulse Chain and Pulse X? Everyone is getting a copy of their ERC tokens. Tony, no disrespect. I have nothing against Hex, nothing against Richard Hart, nothing against Pulse Chain or Pulse X, but I'm not investors in any of that. I'm just keeping it real. But I have nothing against anyone who is. At the end of the day, I like seeing people win. So I don't care what crypto you believe in or you're a part of. I'm praying for your success. You know what I mean? I'm praying for everyone's success. I like people to win. You know what I mean? Hash rate all-time high. I'm a big bull for Bitcoin, says Ellen. Chris says, I'm same as JB. Lower price, I buy more. Higher price, I enjoy that also. Exactly. So it's a win-win regardless of what happens. 100% all the time. Hash rate is a better metric. And guess what? Hash rate just hit a new all-time high. It continues to repeat these new all-time highs. That tells you how strong the network is right now. And price is a lagging indicator. Max talks about this all the time. The price follows the Bitcoin hash rate. So when the hash rate's hitting an all-time high, what's going to happen to the price? Just a matter of time, fam. It don't matter. All the FUD in the world can't stop Bitcoin. You know what I mean? I bought plenty of Bitcoin in March of 2020. Thank you, COVID. Exactly. Smart move. I'm a permabull. I only buy Bitcoin tops. Word up, Matthew. Amen, Alan. Always bull for the long run. Me either, JV, no hex. Matthew, I wish I was lying. But anyways, fam, let's recap here. I know it's the weekend coming in, and again, I appreciate y'all tuning in here on a Friday at a later time than I usually go live because I had some things to attend a little earlier today. But in today's show, we discussed the latest technical analysis, including Bitcoin hitting 28.5 on PCE data as macro accumulation zone ends. Also shared breaking news, in my opinion, the biggest news I've seen all year. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele officially eliminates all income, property, and capital gains taxes on technology innovations. Let's go, El Salvador. Also shared breaking news of Russia talking up prospects of BRICS countries developing their own currency backed by scarce earth metals, whatever that means. We also discussed China making an advance in ditching the US dollar for settlements and inking a deal with Brazil to complete the first UN LNG purchase. We also discussed the latest with Elon Musk-led petition to halt AI development, dividing the tech community, as well as FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried pleading not guilty to the new charges, including bribery of Chinese officials. And we also shared the latest with the US government planning to sell 41,000 Bitcoin connected to Silk Road, as well as Justin Sun offering to buy those 41,000 Bitcoin from the US government at a 10% discount. Where do you feel the Bitcoin price is likely to go next? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you tomorrow, Saturday.